The workshop was completely peaceful that morning, and the owner was organizing his tools. This workshop was an important part of his private property. He had no idea that HOA Karen would arrive there with her Mercedes within minutes. The owner had left the workshop's large sliding door open. Inside, expensive tools and his personal equipment were clearly visible. He never imagined that an outsider would treat the space like a parking lot. Suddenly, a spotless white Mercedes SUV stopped on the gravel driveway. HOA Karen stepped out of the driver's seat and looked toward the workshop. The owner looked at her with a confused expression. Karen drove her Mercedes inside the workshop without permission. The owner immediately told her to stop, but Karen acted as if she didn't hear him. The owner walked over to Karen and calmly explained that the workshop was private property. He politely asked her to move the Mercedes outside. Instead, Karen started referring to her position in the HOA. Karen said she was only parking there for a short time. The owner clearly explained that he had not given her permission. Karen still had no interest in moving the vehicle. The owner pointed toward the private property sign posted at the workshop entrance. The sign clearly prohibited unauthorized parking and entry. Karen looked at the sign, but continued insisting on her position. The owner asked her once again to move the Mercedes. Karen crossed her arms and refused. Instead of continuing the argument, the owner began documenting the situation. The owner photographed the Mercedes and the workshop entrance. He also recorded the date and time. Instead of making the situation emotional, he focused on collecting evidence. Karen took out her phone and called the HOA board. She aggressively explained her side of the story. The owner quietly stood near his workbench. A short time later, an HOA board member arrived at the workshop. After hearing Karen's complaint, he began asking the owner questions. The owner showed him the private property documents and photographs. The board member said that the HOA had authority over community-related property matters. The owner calmly explained that the private workshop was not a common area of the HOA. Karen became visibly frustrated. The owner decided that he would not waste time arguing. He planned to secure the workshop and follow the proper process. First, he made sure that nobody was near the Mercedes. The owner asked Karen and the board member to wait in a safe area outside the workshop. He confirmed that no person would remain inside. Now the workshop and vehicle area were completely clear. The owner began securing the workshop's large metal doors. His goal was not to damage the vehicle, but to secure his private building. Karen loudly protested from outside. The owner put on protective welding gear and began working on the door reinforcement. He focused on strengthening the workshop's metal door frame. Karen was kept clearly outside at a safe distance. After the metal door frame was properly reinforced, the owner shut down the welding equipment. The workshop was secure, and Mercedes remained untouched. The owner removed his protective gear. Karen called the sheriff's office after seeing what happened. She explained her complaint and pointed toward the workshop. The owner calmly decided to cooperate. A short time later, 2 county sheriff vehicles arrived on the gravel driveway. 2 deputies stepped out and began assessing the situation. The owner calmly greeted them. The owner explained a complete timeline to the deputies. He provided photographs, property documents, and the workshop access rules. The deputies carefully reviewed all the information. The deputies inspected the workshop door and the welded reinforcement. They confirmed that the building was secure and that no person was inside. The owner calmly answered their questions. Karen explained her side to the deputies. She repeatedly said that she had only used the workshop for parking. The deputies listened neutrally to both sides. The owner gave the official property documents to the deputies. The documents clearly showed that the workshop was privately owned. The deputies carefully compared the paperwork. After seeing the documents, the HOA board member realized that the workshop was private property. His confident attitude suddenly became nervous. Karen also became quiet and watched the situation. The deputy calmly explained that HOA authority did not automatically override ownership of a private workshop. Karen began to understand the legal side of the situation. The owner did not argue. Finally, Karen walked away from her Mercedes and headed back toward the driveway. The situation began to resolve peacefully. The owner thanked the deputies for cooperating. The owner fully closed the workshop's large reinforced doors. His private workspace was now properly secured. He checked his tools and shut off the lights. The owner decided to stay away from the property for a few days. For 3 days, the workshop remained completely quiet. During that time, he organized his legal documents and future plans. 3 days later, the owner returned to his ranch. He looked at the reinforced workshop door with a satisfied expression. His private workspace was completely secure. The owner stood outside the workshop and smiled as he looked across his private property. Karen's Mercedes was no longer inside the workshop, but parked in the proper parking area. The owner learned one important lesson. Private property boundaries must be clearly protected. Thumbs up like the video bell, subscribe to HOA Stories United States, and tell us in the comments, where are you watching from?